Hello, welcome to Smash Hit Sports. I'm Cody, that's Nick. The national championship matchup is here. Notre Dame, Ohio State. They're going to face off in Atlanta. Michigan fans have to just have a gun in their mouth right now. But before we talk about the game and recap the semifinals, make sure to like this video. It's a huge help to the podcast, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. Nick, let's talk through Notre Dame, Penn State first, because that was an incredible game. Both semifinal games were great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The games were incredible. Penn State, Notre Dame. Notre Dame did the one thing that I did not think they could do, and that is come back from a double-digit deficit. I just did not think that they had it in them. Not a team that's really proficient at throwing the football. But they got down. They made, on third down, they made plays when they had to. Steve Angeli, the Italian, came in, did a little bit of the sauce, got that 3 points going into the half. Huge. I don't know if I really believe that Notre Dame can do it, but goddamn it, that was an incredible win. That was an incredible win against Penn State.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It feels like maybe the Georgia game was kind of like the tipping point. I think, getting over a big hump like that, beating the 2 seed, beating the SEC champion, the kings of college football, having everyone say like, well, Notre Dame needs to join a conference. Now you're in the Final Four. SEC champ isn't. It feels like going into the Penn State game, Notre Dame definitely had a higher belief in themselves than I feel like they had in previous times where they were kind of competing for the playoff or in the playoff. They kind of got over that hump where it's like, okay, like we can be down 10. We can, throw a bad interception here or punt the ball away and have faith in our defense. Like Penn State, I would say is the better roster.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I don't like James Franklin obviously chokes away big games. Like you can't deny it. And I love Marcus Freeman, but I don't think from like an actual logistical standpoint, there's really that much that differentiated these two teams. And Notre Dame came out on top, I think, because they kind of got over that hump. Penn State didn't get over that hump because no one was going to give them the credit of doing that after beating Boise or SMU.
Yeah. I don't want to put, obviously, Big Game James is a thing that has been discussed for a long time, and it will be for a long time until he wins one. But I don't put that loss on James Franklin.
No, really.
And say what you will about Drew Aller and whatever, one play, but he put his team in a position to win. Maybe they should have run the ball more. And but I tell you what, if I had the ball with a minute left and a chance to go down the field to kick a field goal to win the national title game, I would try to do it too. Especially when you have Drew Aller and you have, Tyler Warren. I don't fault them because if he would have knelt the ball 3 times, took the game to overtime, and then lost in overtime, he would be equally as shit on. So I don't disagree with the concept of trying to go down and win the football game.
Yeah, James Franklin, I don't think should be criticized at all for that. No. Drew Aller, I think, actually does deserve to be criticized pretty heavily for it. Because there are some people that are like, oh, it's, he had a really good year. He's still I saw a few too many concerning red flags where it's like, that's not an NFL quarterback. I don't care what happens. He's not an NFL quarterback. I've seen enough. Good college, but it's kind of the same thing with Riley Leonard. You're not going to be able to mold Riley Leonard. There's just no way Riley Leonard is an NFL quarterback. You can't have watched that game and tell me these guys can make it at the next level. But, they're still good. Just like that, Drew Aller made a lot of mistakes, a lot of really bad throws. I think he had 2 picks called back on kind of not the greatest penalties I've ever seen.
Okay, I want to talk about that because this is now the second college football playoff game where we've been like, what the fuck is going on with these interception penalty or the pass interference calls? But by the letter of the law, the first one, the holding, yeah, I get it, fine, whatever, is probably a penalty, fine, call it. The second one, and this is a problem in the NFL too. We cannot reward quarterbacks for dog shit throws. He just underthrew the fuck out of that football.
It was terrible, and he threw it into triple coverage.
Yeah, and then because that receiver never had a chance.
Zero.
Never had a chance at that football at all.
Zero.
It was so underthrown, but because he underthrew the pass, and he has to jump forward to try to catch it. Now all of a sudden it's a pass interference. It's ridiculous. It's a terrible throw. So was it probably a pass interference by the rules? Yes. Should they change the rules to be like, hey, if you fucking underthrow a ball so badly that the corner can do that, that's on you, buddy. But yeah, how you word that, I don't know.
I mean, it's tough because it's like the uncatchable rule.
Yeah.
But like that ball was technically catchable. I think though it's like, yeah, if an underneath defender catches the ball, anything behind the play shouldn't matter.
That's if the defender who created the pass interference, I think it was Christian Gray, if he was not there, if he just tripped and fell earlier in the play, if he did not exist,
he could
that ball still gets picked off by Notre Dame.
Exactly.
And it's the same result.
Yeah, anything behind the underneath defender that makes the play. Because if it's just one-on-one, then it's like, well, that actually makes more sense as a pass interference. If the guy who intercepted it vanished into thin air, you probably actually end up calling it.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that he existed. You can't still call it. That shit was 5 yards behind where the ball ended up.
Yeah.
So stupid. Drew Aller. Yeah, I don't know. Like I watched Cade Klubnik, as much as I've ever watched any quarterback, like watching all his film. And I didn't watch that much Drew Aller, and I was just buying into the discourse of like, they are the same quarterback. That's kind of what I was hearing. They were both a little underwhelming, but, having really good years this year and maybe are going to go to the draft, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, cool. No. Cade Klubnik laps around him. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think it's close. Talking about the defenses in these games, they were incredible. I am a little nervous going into the Ohio State game. Ohio State's defensive line, incredible. Their front seven, they're really their entire defense. We'll talk about that. But Abdul Carter made Notre Dame's offensive line look awful. He's so goddamn good. And they also had that defensive end that made the interception when he dropped back into coverage. I can't remember his name, number 33, but he was great as they destroyed Notre Dame's offensive line. I'm very nervous heading into this Ohio State game because of that. But Rocco Spindler, who is Notre Dame's right guard, was out for the Penn State game. And then their left tackle got hurt, Anthony Knapp. Josiah DeGuara started, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, started at right guard. I think Rocco Spindler is going to be healthy and DeGuara is going to move to left tackle. But we are going to see, at a minimum, we're going to see an iteration of 5 guys on the starting offensive line for Notre Dame that we have not seen yet this season, and that does make me very nervous.
Yeah. Yeah, it might not be the greatest national championship game. A sad take, that I have, because it's what a glorious run. You'd love to believe that, Notre Dame can kind of go on this miracle run. You're only one game away. So it's like in the air, it feels like anything can happen. I don't think that's true. I think this is, I don't want to say guarantee, but it feels almost more of a guarantee than the Tennessee game even was for me.
Yeah.
Just because of how they can control the Riley Leonard game plan. Like Nico at least can beat you deep. Whereas I don't like Riley Leonard, I feel like would have to get lucky to hit like a 50-yard one-on-one go route or some deep post.
Like the phase-on touchdown was, first off, disgusting. Secondly, that corner, like the corner fell down.
Exactly.
And then you threw him he was wide open. You threw him the ball, then he made the safety miss and scored.
Yeah, and
it's not like a 50-yard deep ball where he...
your classic, like what Russell Wilson to George Pickens against the Ravens on Saturday, where it was 50 yards down the field between 2 guys.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
If Leonard were to do that, I would be like, okay, that's objectively, actually luck. He should not have thrown that ball.
or God's team.
That's you could argue that if you want spin zone. There are other
God's team.
And it's just so it's going to be a lot of like, Faison's so good. Like there's going to be just so many like undercut routes that I think Ohio State can not even worry about playing like cover 2 or even like quarters or anything. Like I think you can kind of play like a cover 1 hole look and just kind of protect that middle, maybe have a spy and defend the run with the talent you have. And then it's just like, how is Notre Dame going to score touchdowns? I don't think they will.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be like 9.
Yeah. I'm a little nervous. We'll talk about it. Ohio State, Texas. This game, I know it was a 14-point game. This game was so much closer than 14 points. This game was so much closer than 14 points. Texas had a shot. They were at the 1 yard line. They had a shot to score, to tie the game with just a couple of minutes left. And Jack Sawyer makes a play that will live in Ohio State football lore forever. Forever. He should never have to buy another beer in Columbus as long as he lives. That was such an unbelievable play, such a cool college football story. They were roommates when they first got on campus. You can't make that kind of shit up. It's stuff like that is what makes college football so fucking awesome. It was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, Jack Sawyer, who I guess has sort of had difficulty maintaining like, a positive public image as far as Ohio State fans go. I was always of the perception
he lost to Michigan 4 times. Like that's not like it's his fault, but his class
specifically. I was always like, well, Jack Sawyer's a beast, like, and kind of always maybe he underwhelmed like 2 years ago, but for the most part, everything I've ever seen from him has been super positive. And then they're like, yeah, Jack Sawyer, man, like they can't hate him anymore. They have to love him. I'm like, they hated him. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, I didn't know. Great. What are you talking? Like, this guy's a first round graded guy. Like, you hated him. So yeah, I mean, I guess they can't hate him anymore. But that play was nuts. That's my point, though, is that Ohio State's just not gonna let you in. What they had, I think it might have been Sawyer that said this. Like, if you give us an inch, we're gonna defend it. Yeah. And that, I mean, it happened multiple times. That defense is just peaking right now.
I saw it was a post on Instagram. It was 7 slides, and it was Ohio State scored 7 points on these plays. And it was just opposing team at the 3 yard line, like Oregon at the 3 yard line, Texas at the 1 yard line, Nebraska at the 5 yard line. Like it was just all, and it was like, yeah, all of these plays combined, Ohio State scored 7 points. That's what happened.
And the opposing team scored 0.
0. Yes.
They were out.
Legitimately insane.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, that's the biggest worry is, can you? I mean, I don't know. It just feels like you might need a luck out, score a touchdown that wasn't that. Like I don't foresee like a bust in coverage the way or like a guy falling down. I don't foresee that happening.
Yeah,
but anything can happen. Obviously, it's just I think they're just too sturdy back there, man. It's so good.
Yeah, talking about Texas, Quinn Ewers, I think, played his last snap as a Longhorn. I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
whether he goes to the draft or transfers or whatever, but he did, like, people are going to give him shit because he couldn't win it all. But they went to 2 college football playoff semifinals. They won a lot of football games with him as the quarterback. There may always be the question, like, oh, what if they started Arch that year? Who knows? Arch is going to get a shot this year. I think Quinn Ewers played a good football game. Outside of the strip sack fumble, like, he played a really, really good football game. Like, had some great throws, had, like, Isaiah Bond played well. They just couldn't get it done. There was some play calling that I didn't love, but...
Like, Matthew Golden was hurt for a good chunk of that game as well, right? Yeah. So you kind of, we're missing a piece there. Yeah, Quinn Ewers impressed. He's certainly like a worthy NFL draft pick. I would have taken him over Carson Beck. I would take him over really almost. He should probably be like a second, third round guy based on his talent. I don't know if he'll ever really become a starter, but He's a good player. Yeah, like I'm not surprised. I honestly remember like a lot of my group chat was like, "What are you taking, Nick? Like, what are you taking in this game?" And normally I do have something, right? But I was like super conflicted. Even though I have Ohio State winning it all, I was like, I actually cannot figure this out because the line is moving and the public bets are just continuing to go on Ohio State, but it's moving in Texas's favor. And like nobody is giving Texas a chance on any kind of public social media, anything. Like nobody's really saying Texas can win. And I was like, oh dear God. So I was just like, I'm not going to bet on this at all. And it ended up being, yeah, super close. But Ohio State spread bettors ended up, Vegas lost for sure.
Yep. All right. Before we get to our championship preview, home field apparel, Nick 15 for 15% off your first purchase at home field. They make unbelievable merch. I'm not wearing any at the moment. They are the absolute. You have to check sometimes. Sometimes you got to check.
It's possible, but
yeah,
no.
But I'm sure. Like I can say, there are three things with absolute certainty: death, taxes, and home field is going to have some absolutely disgusting merch for whoever wins this national title game. Go check them out. Use code Nick15 for 15% off your first purchase. Link is in the description of this video or in our bios. Before we get to the championship preview, Bull Pick'em. We're still fucking tied, Nick. We're still tied.
How are we tied?
We are still tied. We're 29-17. We're 29-17 on the Bull Pick'em.
How are we tied when I had Ohio State and you didn't?
Well, we are 29-17 on the Bull Pick'em.
Oh, you know what it is? Yeah, okay, that's fascinating. But because when I was picking them, it gave you like the future picks. It was like, do you think the winner of Ohio State Oregon is going to beat? So I think you probably just ended up taking Ohio State.
I did.
Rather than Texas, which is illegal because yes.
So Nick, this does put us in a situation.
Well, maybe we're tied in the Bull Pick'em, but on the Instagram account,
yeah,
and via the podcast itself,
yes,
we are not.
Well, we also did the stipulation that if you pick the national title, you get, I think it was 7 points, and if you get the national title runner-up, you get 3. And Nick, your national title contender and your national title runner-up are in this game. Nick, allow me to be the first to congratulate you on winning the college football season-long pick'em. It came down to the semifinal games, all the way down to the last 3 games of the season. Congratulations on a hard-fought win. Round of applause.
Thank you. Yeah, you know what? One of the closest title races in American sport history. No right to be tied. 100 and odd games, and we were neck and neck, literally tied with 3 games left. But yeah, Ohio State, Notre Dame. I was making that graphic, Cody. We did our bowl predictions. We talked about it, and I made the graphic, and I'm like, all right, I have Ohio State, I have Notre Dame, and I have Ohio State winning. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, does this look right? And I couldn't quite convince myself, but I went with it, and it was exactly right. I actually, again, had I not gone to Clemson University, I think I'd be perfect.
I think I would agree.
Which is pretty.
Which, I'm not going to fault you for picking your own team.
Yeah.
You have to. You went there. But
yeah.
It's
tough.
I mean,
if I had a little more like, okay, Clemson's not going to actually win, then there's no way I'm taking Arizona State over Texas. The only reason I did that was to counter
the fact that
right, like it's like I don't want to. Clemson's probably not going to win, so I'm not going to take them all the way to the semifinal. I'm not crazy, and yeah, every other game I got right, and we obviously have a game left, so we'll see. But I do feel pretty confident in Ohio State, sadly.
Yeah, so let's preview the championship game. Before we get into it, I do have a little surprise for old Nicky here. I'm going.
You're going to the game?
Yeah, I'm going. I got credentialed media access for Media Week leading it. So I want to explain this correctly. I have access to Media Week, like Super Bowl week, up to the national title game. I do not have credentialed media access for the national title game.
No,
so
not
I'm
on the
still,
day.
yeah. So I will still have to buy a ticket and get into the game. However, it looks like I will be going to the practices, doing some
Oh my
team and
God.
player interviews. So all sorts of cool stuff. I'm very, very excited. That being said, please, Nick, tell me that I'm going to watch my team win the national title.
I don't know if I have that even remotely. I don't think I even have the lie in me. But you know what? This is what I'll say. The team of Destiny powers at B, that's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Notre Dame has those. I don't think Ohio State's a team of destiny, considering you can't be the best roster and then be the team of destiny, because like that's like God, that's like the freaking robber barons
Yeah.
making all the money. Like they were the people that, like, no, they fucking had all the oil money. Like they have it everything. The problem is that on the counter side, if we're talking about energy things, Ohio State, I think, has an argument of they battled adversity and overcame adversity. They felt the embarrassment maybe a little bit more, or at least more recently, because obviously losing to NIU at home is embarrassing, but losing to Michigan 4 years in a row, just the whole media narrative of not being the one seed in general,
Mm-hmm.
having 2 losses. 1 loss is already like, I thought this team was a lock to go undefeated. 2 losses, no Big Ten championship berth. People are calling for Ryan Day's head, and they come out, kind of with that understanding of like, this is a second chance. We failed. We can learn from our failures. Whereas other teams that didn't fail, like in Oregon, they didn't have that opportunity. And in the past, Ohio State would be punished for failing. Now they aren't, right? So that's the one big complaint about a 12-team playoff, is that it actually, you might have an advantage by learning from your failures. You can afford to, maybe lose a game, try some things, right? Like teams will come around to that idea. But for right now, everything is pointing towards Ohio State. And the only thing you have going for you is that, yeah, God, probably the powers of destiny, the powers that be.
Yeah. So I want to outline a path for Notre Dame to win. Okay. This is the path. Do I think all of these things will happen? Yeah. But this is the path. All right. Number one, Ohio State is wearing their white heritage uniforms on Martin Luther King Day. Kind of fucked up.
Okay.
Kind of fucked up. Okay. Mistake number one. Number two, it happens after Sunday. All right. Notre Dame players just came from church. So they are as fresh with God as you could possibly be.
Right.
Right?
The spirit is within them in that moment.
Yep. Number two, this game's in the South. Okay. The what do you call the snowbirds who go down south for the year? That's Lou Holtz. He's awake. He's ready. Lou Holtz dialed into this football game. Okay? We have God. We have Lou Holtz. Fuck, that was my first thing that I said. And and an extra day's rest because we played Friday. So Notre Dame extra day's rest. We can do it. And Notre Dame can win this football game. But in all seriousness, for Notre Dame to win, it is very much the same thing that they've needed to beat Georgia and to beat Penn State, and that is you have to win the turnover battle. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There was one game they did not win the turnover battle this year. That was NIU. They won the turnover battle in every other game they played this season. They have a larger turnover margin than any other team in the country. They force more turnovers than any other team in the country. That is the key to winning this game. You have to force Will Howard to make a mistake. You have to get an interception or a fumble or a blocked kick, something. You have to have that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, I would go as far as to say, you might need to win the turnover battle by 2.
I would agree.
Yeah, I don't even think you can win it like 2-1 and feel like that's gonna, If you have 3 interceptions off of Will Howard and, maybe Riley Leonard throws one or you like lose a fumble, but 3 interceptions off Will Howard, if you can like return one to like the 7-yard or like that absolutely could change the fate of the game. And that's something that could happen, right? Like
Yeah.
Notre Dame has a very, very capable defense, and Will Howard is very capable of not playing a perfect football game. So, yeah, it's not. There are like very specific scenarios you can pluck and be like, oh yes, Notre Dame wins in this one, right? Like this isn't too unrealistic, and Notre Dame wins in this one. But you look at the tree, and most of the scenarios are red and black rather than gold and whatever. So it just, you look at it, you're like, so Ohio State's going to win, but maybe there's a scenario out there that's going to happen.
Yep. There's one thing that's going to be talked about in the Marcus Freeman versus Ryan Day is going to be talked about ad nauseum. Two coaches who, Marcus Freeman, one of the rising superstars in terms of coaching in the sport of college football. He's basically getting the Dan Lanning and Kalen DeBoer treatment of, holy shit, he has arrived. And then there's Ryan Day, he's been a really good coach for a long time. Can he become a great coach by winning a national title? But I want to talk about the coordinators in this game. Mike Denbrock and Al Golden for Notre Dame, and then Chip Kelly and Jim Knowles for Ohio State. Those legitimately may be the 4 best coordinators in the country. You can make an argument for it.
Chip Kelly's in his bag right now, that's for sure.
Chip Kelly has been in his bag. Al Golden has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And Denbrock has done all the right things with Notre Dame's offense, even when they're limited, hurt, banged up, whatever. And Jim Knowles, 3 years ago, we talked about Ohio State's defense being their problem. They were dog shit. That was the reason that they couldn't beat Michigan, was not their offense. It was their defense. Jim Knowles has completely corrected that. This defense is, if they're not the best defense in the country, they're number 2. Like, that is how good.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't know who I'd put above them.
So number 1 in scoring defense in the country is Ohio State. Number 2 in scoring defense in the country is Notre Dame.
Okay, yeah.
The only Notre Dame forces more turnovers. Ohio State has allowed less yards. So
you'd have to look at the an efficiency metric,
like a DVOA metric or whatever. But still
something that at least applies your strength of schedule, or is the quarterback you're playing a fucking moron? Michigan obviously would move that down for Ohio State, but yeah, I don't know. I think this Ohio State defense is probably the best defense I've seen, from what I know they're capable of. I think it's the best of the 2020. There's maybe the Georgia.
Better than 2021 Georgia?
Yeah, but I don't even know, though, because, they were so NFL stacked. But I don't know. This Ohio State defense is so good, man. It's so good.
And I think that's going to be the story of this game. The over-under is 45.5. I'm gonna hammer the under. I can tell you that right now. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm hammering the under.
Yeah, I 21-9 is my genuine prediction.
Yeah, it's going to be a knockdown dragout. This is going to be an incredible defensive battle. Whatever the defense that wins the turnover battle, the defense that gets to the quarterback more often, that's who is going to win this game. And it's Will Howard, legitimately. I think Will Howard could put up a 13 for 25 for 150 yards and win this football game.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could do that just because they're not relying on that offense. It's the defense.
Yeah, and that's the main thing. Yeah, if people are closing their eyes and they're like, who's going to win this game? And they're thinking about okay, is Will Howard, you're thinking about the Ohio State offense, and you're probably that's the wrong thing to do. I don't think that even doesn't matter to me. It really is, can Notre Dame get the ball into the end zone? It would take a breakthrough run on a bad play call by Jeremiah Love, or it would take some fluky, I cannot picture just a methodical drive where Notre Dame just punches it in at the end. I can't envision it. It doesn't exist in my head. And that's why, yeah, I can't. I think it's just going to be field goals but it could be 14-9, Notre Dame ball in the fourth. Electric finish in the same sort of light that, Texas, Ohio State, where, Ohio State finishes 21-9, but maybe it's not necessarily like the, like it's still exciting in that sense, I guess I should say.
Yep. So let's do this. Ohio State is an 8-point favorite. 56% of the bets are on Ohio State. 71% of the money is on Ohio State. Or Nick, for the clip, for the official people prediction, who wins this game and what is the final score?
Yeah, Ohio State's winning this game. I would dare say confidently. I'm going to go 21-9, but I like the under. I love Ohio State. I don't think Notre Dame really has a chance.
Breaks my heart.
Yep.
We're friends.
Yep.
My prediction is that Notre Dame wins the national championship 20-17 on a last-second field goal to walk it off. And that is my prediction. So
would be really cool.
Is that prediction a little hopeful? Yeah. If you put a gun to my head and told me, hey, pick the winner of this game, would I say Notre Dame every time? Absolutely, I would. God's team. So
you would die.
I would die, but God damn it, I'll go down with my team. So I'm excited. I'm excited to go to the game. It'll be really, really cool. So make sure you follow along all of our socials. Subscribe to the podcast because we will talk about it after. Because the game is on Monday and I am going to be driving on Tuesday, there will likely be a delay in the podcast next week. Look for that to come out potentially Thursday. But yeah, excited. We will recap the national championship, Nick. And then after that, it's college hoop season. Cooper Flagg might be the new Larry Bird. Janai Broome is hurt, but also Auburn's offense might be the most electric offense I've seen in college basketball. Villanova's not dead. We have all sorts of things to talk about. Very, very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, Auburn offense, best efficiency rating in Ken Pom history by a good chunk.
Crazy.
So, yeah.
Crazy.
Tune into them. They play, I think they play tonight. Well, you're not. You guys are watching this tomorrow.
Yep. So, love y'all. We will see you in the next one.